June 4th Uprising that happened in Ghana years back. And we're gathered here for a very special occasion, not only to remind ourselves of that very poignant day in the history of Ghana that has changed the trajectory of our country. We've had an exhibition, the exhibition is still there, and we're going to have a drama. But to tell you more about what today means, this event, I'd like to invite Yasentua Ajman Rawlings, who represents the Rawlings Foundation, who are producing this event for today. Please put your hands together for Yasentua.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as most of us know, today marks 43 years since the uprising of June 4, 1979. This year marks 43 years since the May 15th abortive mutiny of an officer and junior ranks from the Ghana Air Force. It marks 43 years since the famous words, "Leave my men alone," caught public attention and became the headline of one of our national newspapers, the Daily Graphic. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, why did June 4, 1979 occur? This is an extremely weighty question that I believe requires not just one thesis or one theater performance or one documentary, but a series of them that attempts to take into cognizance the various layers and the depth of political, psychological, social interplay. Case in point, the power the black marketeers and the market women wielded and how that fed into the fueling rage of the lower ranks, or the officers who silently disagreed with their colleagues in office but said nothing, or the collective societal outcry to an end to Ghanaia's socio-economic freefall, or the people that innocently got caught in the middle, or the creation of a class system that bitterly divided the armed forces, not on rank, but between those amassing wealth in their civilian jobs and those left in the barracks, fueling with anger while struggling to make ends meet and facing the brunt of the public scorn by virtue of their uniform. These are but some of the complicated layers and interplay that need to be portrayed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for those who experienced Ghana at that time can agree that June 4, 1979 marked a turning point in our political history, and that period, like all other periods in our history, deserve continuous academic study, research, and analysis.
What would you say, major, dear? Yamina, or two it's in one man, as you Nancy, yet, bah, they are cup born now, so won't try, and you wa, upa, mentor. What's more, hey, what's more? Calabulego, yeah. Auntie, Oh, customer.
Auntie Mary. Me pay your friend is a milk powder.
Milk powder. Oh, milk powder then will be. 15,000 per.
Subhanallah.
Hey, that doesn't subhanallah. Oi.
What is 15,000?
15,000.
Auntie Mary.
Who the air cost of Ghana? Who the won't see?
But me share chair, we be a chair for a chair, but we milk powder.
When I have a customer, my hair,
and saying crack
20,000 per. Holy, it's
no, in the law. We are 20,000. What is 20,000? It is very expensive. No, you not. Hey, 50,000, 20,000. What should I say? Which one are we buying?
Hey, I just
15,000 or 20,000? Hey!
I just I don't know market in Musa. Oh,
what you boy too much? Are they?
Hey, what you need to for? Put your hair here, look about here. I just Hey!
Officer, listen to this. I came to buy milk powder from them.
You came to buy what?
Milk powder.
Milk powder?
Yes.
Okay.
Auntie Mary said it is 15,000. And then Atra said it is 20,000. Which is which? All the things are very expensive. Milk powder, just milk powder. It's very expensive.
No, it's can't possible.
Auntie
you like any video, Jala?
What can measure the deal? Hey, but no backpack. What's up with the ship here? No, yeah.
Samana watiwa, samana watiwa, samana samana watiwa, samana watiwa, samana watiwa, samana watiwa, samana
Many people do not know where we are coming from. And this is something that we have to be doing every now and then for people to know where we are coming from, so that we can move the nation forward. People don't know where we are coming from. Today you drive around Accra and you see cars, traffic jams and other things. Those are the days where you know the term, we don't go see them. No vehicles, so when a truck comes, even truck carrying, animals comes and you want to sit, go on board, you to say, you don't go see them. There's a lot that we can talk about as far as this is concerned. It was fantastic. It was properly packaged, and whatever has been packaged, we have it in the books. Reading the book, and we are reading more. We're going to write more. I'm on the volume 2, volume 3, and all those things for people to know where we are coming from. Even your stations never existed. Your stations never existed. And you're able to write what you want to write today, and no one, worries you like it used to happen in the past. So all segments of the society have benefited from the bravery of the Rawlings. You see it, you don't need to be told several times.
Angry protesters have stormed Makola Market, singing war chants and bearing placards, asking the government to step down. Our correspondent, Husseini Abbas, filed this report.
Yes.
It's what is going on. As we check the government inside, everything you do bazaar. Why? Doctors, I met a chantage. Strike! They go strike. School is home. Everything like bazaar. Even airport, them close gates. Ghana is for all of us. They will fail or no. But right now, they take all give one person forever. One person.
Lots of nostalgia. Lots of nostalgia for those of us who lived through it. I lived in Burma camp. I grew up in Burma camp. My father was in the military at the time, so I lived every moment of it. Certainly, I wasn't part of the uprising, so the nitty-gritties I wouldn't know, but I lived through it as a young boy growing up. Hence my personal affinity to what Rawlings stood for. And watching the drama, the replay, and the memory recall, there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of what June 4th stood for. As a nation, as a country, as a people, there's still a lot of work to be done. Certainly, no one human being will finish all the work in his or her lifetime. But it just tells us that things happened, and we have a collective responsibility as a people to ensure that some of those things that we all were not too happy about do not recur, but work has to be done, and more commitment. And for people like us who are in leadership at the national level, moments like these makes us reflect more, and know that there's a task, there's a calling, there's work to be done, and we must continuously commit ourselves to that work. And so I commend the foundation, the Rawlings Foundation, for what they've put together this afternoon. And for me, it's sobering. And may the soul of Jerry John Rawlings rest well in the bosom of the Lord.
In the news today, security forces have confirmed that a group of junior officers from the Ghana Armed Forces attempted to overthrow the ruling SMC2 military government. All soldiers in this attempted coup plot have been arrested.
According to reports, an attempt by the leader of the armed group in a bid to avoid bloodshed delayed their attack, which was originally planned to be undertaken under the cover of darkness.
The accused, including a flight lieutenant of the Ghana Air Force, Jerry John Rawlings, have been arraigned before the High Court in Accra. This trial will be televised here on GBC, the station of the nation.
God rise! Right, Lieutenant, your last word.
PNDC or AFRC, PNDC, NDC. Everybody knows that I got quite close to Rawlings, especially in his last days. And there were moments that we shared, deep moments that we shared. Ghana still burdened his heart and his soul, even to the point of the grave. He was still burdened by the enormity of work that still remained to be done. I believe that he lived for a cause. He certainly did what he could do. He's handed over the baton to many of us, certainly not to one person, many of us. It's our duty also to do our best. One day when we've also, moved on to the next world, stories like these should be told about us. And I think that that's the continuum in terms of nation building. It's not a static thing. It's a movement. And I think that Jerry Rawlings began a movement. 43 years, it's just come and gone. And he did his bit. May we also do our bit for God and country.
Fellow citizens of Ghana, let me first and foremost inform you that I have not come here to impose myself on the 10 million citizens of this country. I am not an expert in economics. I am not an expert in law, but I am an expert in working on an empty stomach while wondering when and where the next meal is going to come from. I will prove to you today that it is no longer a question of the military against the civilian. It is no longer a question of the Akan against the Ewe, the Ga against the Northern, but a question of those who have against those who have not.
He's definitely passed on a baton to the youth of this country. Are you encouraged by what you are seeing today?
Yes, very, very much. Very, very much encouraged, yeah.
You lived with him. You saw his moments. Is this the Rawlings, the theater performance we saw?
Yes, that was Rawlings, exactly. That was him.
A question of a majority of hungry people against a very tiny minority of greedy, inhuman, selfish military officers, politicians, businessmen, and their bank managers, and a bunch of cowardly, dirty Lebanese who will not stay in their country and fight for a cause. This corruption, nepotism, kalabule calls the men and women of integrity of the armed forces of Ghana to carry out a house cleaning exercise. My Lord, leave my men alone. I am responsible for everything.
Order! Court adjourned. Court rise!
He's a man of integrity, probity, and accountability. And what is going on in this country now is a total mess. So definitely, Jerry Rawlings coming to bear. I think for the past years, everybody has now come to see that all the things that Rawlings was saying is the truth. What are we going to do about it? So I think it's the right question you asked and it's the right answer you've gotten.
But the theater you saw, is that the Rawlings you knew?
Definitely. It is the Rawlings. And I'm inspired. Definitely.
Think we can do better than we see now?
Oh, definitely we can do better. Better. In discipline in the country, people doing all that they want, messing up, I believe something better can be done for a better Ghana.
Breaking news. In a new twist of events, reports reaching the GBC confirm that the young soldiers arrested on the 15th of May have been broken out of jail by unknown armed soldiers.
And in related alarming matters, fierce fighting is heard right outside the studio between forces loyal to the young soldiers and military guards here at the GBC. Heavy gunfire can be heard now. We cannot confirm if
What else do we need to encourage us to do what you talk about and where we think we should be?
We need a very strong leader who understands what leadership is all about, and also somebody who is thinking about the youth and bringing discipline in the country. That's the most important thing. And we need to have somebody who can champion what leadership is all about.
Joe boy!
Yay!
Joe boy!
Yay!
Joe boy!
Yay!
Fellow citizens of this country, after many years of independence, you and I are still hitting our heads on the ground, leaving all to God to save us one day. Where on earth had God come down to the salvation of a people without the suffering, starving, hungry people taking the law into their own hands? America has seen her brand of revolution. France has seen a brand of revolution. Britain has seen her brand of revolution. Russia, China, Iran, all of them. Only the black man in a black African continent continues to lead his fellow black men like herd of cattle while suppressing them like slaves.
What inspired you to put together what you've done today?
Well, I was thinking, how do we reclaim the June 4th story for the younger generation? Not just my generation, but there are several generations behind who don't actually know the story within the context. I always say within the context. How do you build the context? We all talk about June 4th as a day, as an event, but there were several events that culminated in that. How do we tell the story in a way that is captivating to an audience? Because sometimes people don't necessarily want to read, or maybe they don't necessarily want to have to sit through a political seminar. So what better way to educate them through drama? And I think that the arts, in time immemorial, the arts have a very unique way of perpetuating a story. And even in our folklore, we have our oral history, we have our stories by the fireside, stories that teach our children. We use stories to teach the younger generation. So I think that comes from this, it's the same concept basically. And I realized that we have left people wanting a little bit more. So maybe next year we'll do a part 2.
I have come to tell you today that God will not help you, and the big man will not help you, because his stomach is full. His children's stomachs are full. They have enough to go and come as they please. Only you can help yourself. That is why our first president said, forward ever, backward never. We need to move forward. Ghana mai, SSA Yokoyenim, Nananum, Nime, Name, Nananum, Se, Ya Mubu Ababi, Se, Obi Fruit Diapa, and I piano too, and so Ghana, yeah. Sɛ ɔbɛfo dua paa na ɔkuta dua na ɔgyina fam na ɔde wɔne tu. Joe boy! Joe boy! Joe boy!
In today's news, calm has been seen all over the capital, with great rejoicing with the announcement of the young Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings as chairman of the AFRC by its spokesman.
As the world watches keenly, Ghanaians are hopeful that the ideals and values of Rawlings and his AFRC government will stomp out corruption, introduce measures to restore multi-party democracy, and better the lives of Ghanaians.
Are you happy yourself with what you saw today?
Yes, I am. I mean, let me talk about the artistes, the performance. These are university students. Antonio, I hope he's not embarrassed if I mention his name, but he's a lecturer in the university as well, and it gives an opportunity for them to showcase their craft as well. So yes, I'm happy to be able to give them that platform as well.
Obviously, the stories we saw today, through theater, through the exhibition, are stories that need to be told beyond the confines of this room. Of course, you were streaming, we know you were streaming them. How else are you taking this story outside?
Good question. I think that one way that we could do it is by the mobile theater method, which I know has been used before. But of course, that requires mobilizing of funds and maybe getting a few more partners and so on. I think this was just to sort of get a sense of how our audience responds to it. And as you're saying, it seems it's been positive. So now we can expand and call on partners to sort of help to, support this.